I'm JD, welcome back to my channel. So I've got my vintage junk journal here, and this is the next page spread I did. And this one has a little extra flip here, and this is a picture of my dog that I had for 10 years, back from, 2001 till 2011. I love this photo, it's one of my favourite photos of her. Her name was Diva, and I took this photo in sepia, so love that because it gives it that vintage look. This is one of Johanna Clough's journal cards, quilted cards, and I thought it tied in nicely with the greens, the pinks, and yeah, it just worked really well. This is some vintage letter writing paper or note paper, and I love this little lady with the dog, holding the dog like she loves the dog. And my theme for this page is unconditional love, because that's what dogs show me, is unconditional love. This is a vintage swap card. So pretty, or so cute I should say. It is blank on the back and I could have written on it, but I want to preserve it because it's, vintage. So I just placed that there with this rose gold paper clip. And then I've got a few stickers here, or a couple stickers with the date. And I punched out this from one of my napkins, not one of my napkins, one of my doilies from my Etsy. And I just punched out the hearts to go with unconditional love, and I like that it's pink as well. So this flap is where I did a lot of journaling, and I had a lot to say in the end. I thought this was going to be a page just kind of about unconditional love and dogs in general, but it ended up being a page dedicated to my dog, Diva. So I'm just writing about how, dogs, they show me the best example of what unconditional love looks like. My dog, she used to wait for me to get home, so she would wait at the window, and when she saw my car, she would do this on the window and jump at the door, and when I came in she would jump up at me and lick my face, and then when I went into my room she would sit on my lap. And she would also anytime that I pat my legs, like I didn't even have to call her, I would just make that noise on my legs, and she would come running from wherever she was, and without fail she would always jump up, and I would pick her up in my arms and give her a hug. So just a couple of different stories that I wrote about her, and the way that I could see that she loved me, that she showed it through her behaviour, just like all the time. She was just such a loving dog. I don't know, some dogs are more, independent and not into pats and not into sitting on your lap, but she was like my best dog to have ever, because she would always be up for a hug, always up for a pat, and just was always so excited to see me. Whenever I was out, my favourite part of the day was coming home, and just that anticipation of waiting for my dog greeting me at the door. And no matter how bad my day was, she would always, just whenever I opened that door and she was there greeting me, it always lifted my day without fail. And then on this side I just wrote about how dogs are something where I also see God. I see the genius of God for creating something so beautiful. When I had Diva, I would just stare at her and cry, like tears would come in my eyes as I just stared at her and thought about how beautiful she was, how magical and amazing it was that this animal existed. And not only that I had this privilege and this responsibility of looking after her, that she wasn't just a wild animal out there somewhere, but that I had the privilege of looking after her, feeding her, patting her, cuddling her. And I just saw that as a great gift of God, that he would give us dogs in the first place, that first of all he would create something like that, and second of all that he would trust us enough, humans enough, to look after a dog and have that joy that comes from looking after something, and have that joy of having something that loves you back as much as you love it. And I just see such a beautiful gift in dogs, a gift from God in dogs, and I think it's no surprise, or I don't know, it's just me, that dog is God. God spelled backwards is dog. Because I see God in dogs. Like, I go real deep. I don't just love dogs, I go deep and see God in them and feel so loved, not by just dogs, but I feel loved by God through dogs. He shows me his love through dogs. And I love that, through the love of a dog and through his love shown through a dog. And I'm not sure if any of this makes sense, but just trying to convey just what dogs mean to me. They mean so much to me in themselves. They're amazing, but they also show me God's creativity, God's genius, God's kindness, God's heart, God's gift to give a dog to people, and God's love ultimately. His unconditional love is shown to me through a dog. So yeah, very special page for me, and I really love it. I love how it's all working together here. And originally I wasn't going to put this photo here because it was more about unconditional love, but then when I started writing stories about my dog, I thought, no, I need a picture of her here. I really need a picture of her here, because later up I also have another page dedicated to both my cat and my dog. My cat is still alive right now, obviously, because Keanu, he's only 1 year old. But I want to do a page spread with my dog on one side and the cat on the other side to show the two animals that I've loved most in my life so far. But that is my page spread on the love of dogs. And let me know if you love dogs too, or cats, or any animal. I'd love to hear your stories too. They're just some of mine. I'll go into more stories later on when I go to the other page. My favourite stories with my animals. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye guys!